Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today I'm just giving you a brief update on my plans for an intentional community for what I was originally calling a homestead. For what I also call a conscious agora. We'll get all into all that in just a moment, but if you're new here somehow, please do bookmark theconsciousresistance.com. It's our website right here. You can see this beautiful looking site, and if you are in a place where you can leave your house, because right now there is a quarantine going on around the world as I record this, and you want to get educated on what's happening or just get caught up, you can always go back and view our documentaries, our videos, our podcast, check out conscious music. There's a lot to explore here on the site if you take the time, and we appreciate that. But what I'm talking about today is a subject that I've discussed a few times over the years, at least a couple times in various videos, beginning this back in 2016, May 2016, which was just about 4 years ago. And you can see here I discussed the beginning of a new homestead project being organized by activists from the Houston area and around Texas. That's what the plan was originally. The basic idea is to buy land in Texas by the end of 2016, early 2017, and form a community of individuals based on the principles of non-aggression, permaculture, and sustainability, and mindfulness. The goal is to make the community a hub for education, creation, and networking. The community will focus on becoming independent from all corporate and state power, internet, food, economy, defense, through counter-economic activity. This was my vision in the beginning. And I did some links here. What is a freedom cell? Creating freedom with vertical and horizontal agorism, which was a speech I gave. A video about organizing against violent cops and how to defend yourself. And then also about the American individualist anarchist Josiah Warren from the early 1800s, who formed lots of intentional communities around, or at least a few of them, and one of them particularly was very successful. You can read more about that in those links if you want, or of course you can just read my book, which we're about to look at in just a second. And then I also talked about Carl Hess and some of his ideas on organizing community. These are things that were inspiring me at the time. And as I said in here, the plan was originally to do this in Texas. Within, I'd say, a year or so, my plans changed. Situations changed in my personal life, but also with my work, I realized that the United States, this was before Trump got elected, right? So a couple months after this, Trump gets elected, I start seeing how divided the country's getting. And I realized that for me, personally, what I want to achieve and accomplish is not feasible in the United States, at least not now. And especially with everything going on right now in the quarantine situations, it's showing to me exactly that there is no movement, no cohesive movement in the United States. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but let me just explain why I don't feel Texas or the United States is the place for what I personally have planned. There is no movement, no unified, cohesive movement. There's a lot of different splintered movements that fight and bicker over each other. There's a lot of people who talk online, talk on the internet, post things on social media. But there's not so many people who are actually trying to think about what are we going to do after government, or what are we going to do in the case of an emergency, or if the government fails, or if there's a pandemic. There's not so many people thinking about the future, 7 generations and beyond, being forward thinking. There's not so many people that I see that understand that what we're dealing with is both a physical and a spiritual battle. There's not so many people that I see that are open to all types of spirituality. There's not so many people that I see that know what's going on in the world and also know that we can work to build a better world, work with the environment in a way that doesn't involve the state, who understand permaculture. You know, I'm looking for a very selective, I guess you could say, group of people or individuals to collaborate with, and it might end up being just me and my little family if that's how it goes down. But I realize that what I want to build is not possible in the United States, where the pushing of mandatory vaccinations is becoming increasingly, evident. The push towards the smart grid, the 5G, all the things that I've been covering over the years since I first made this video in 2016, guys. Think about everything I've covered since then. Jeffrey Epstein, the Finders, 5G, running for mayor. Everything that I've seen in the past 4 years has shown me that the United States is not the place for me to do this. So I did this update in December 2018. So over a year now, just over a year and a few months. Homestead Intentional Community update in 2018. This is an update on those plans, and basically said for anyone interested in any way or with a community to highlight, get in touch with me. And also we were hosting monthly intentional community conference calls where people could connect and share resources and ideas with people who want to work together towards this goal. So this has been in my plans for a while. I've been talking about this since 2016, talking about it again in 2018, been talking about it privately with people for years. I've had people reach out to me from Australia, from Canada, from Costa Rica, from all over, who said, I have land, let's work together. I have money, let's work together. I have skills, let's work together. And I had written in my book and known since I released this in 2017, my third book, for those of you who have not read this, you can download it for free. I think it's really important right now. The Manifesto of the Free Humans. And I'll show you here this is the table of contents. The first part was more philosophical. The second was kind of answering what if questions, how do we deal with these kind of problems? And the third part, creating the conscious Agora, which is just the name I'm using for this idea, talks about what I envisioned, what me and John Vibes originally envisioned, and what I'm planning to build for a community. So let me just skip down there to show you guys that part. Okay, here we go. So this is from part 3, creating conscious Agora. The goal, and the reason I'm reading this, if you already are interested in the idea, then that's fine, get in touch with me. But if you want to know what I have in mind, for those of you who've contacted me or reached out to me or comment and say you want to collaborate in some way, listen to what I'm describing here so you can get an idea of what I envision. And then, maybe we can go further or not, but we'll see. But the goal of this final part of the manifesto pertains to both of our specific preferences for a conscious Agora existing in a stateless society. This is, again, describing my ideal world in some imagined world, but also it's the goal that I'm aiming towards. It's important to remember that we do not believe in one-size-fits-all models and are not attempting to state that every free conscious Agora should organize in the fashion described in the following pages. Obviously, our subjective preferences are contained in these chapters, but we see our ideal intentional community as existing among the myriad of diverse, unique communities that will exist in a truly freed marketplace of ideas. We believe in freedom and thus we believe in diversity. Our vision of an intentional community will be one among the many coexisting communities, microstates, communes, neighborhoods, and other yet to be discovered ways of self-organizing. The actual formation of such a community is slated to begin in early 2020, and here we are right on time. We will spend the next 4 years building towards this goal via the Freedom Cell movement. While the political system continues to disappoint the masses, Freedom Cells and Agorism offer a bright future. And this is exactly what I was preparing for, everything we're dealing with. And I want to scroll down here and show you guys this little pyramid, which represents the values that I'm trying to bring to the table. This triangle here. So again, sovereignty of the individual. This is the sort of backbone of any community that I'm going to be a part of it, which is the idea that you own yourself and you own your labor and your what you create with and what you build. Those are, you own yourself. All that comes with that self-ownership and everything that springs from that, or also known as the sovereignty of the individual, and a recognition of the non-aggression principle, that it is wrong to initiate force, violence, or coercion on another human being. And and then over here in this corner, mindfulness. This involves like I said earlier, wanting to work with people who are spiritually curious or aware, whatever your particular beliefs are, just people who understand that there's a bigger picture going on than just our physical bodies. I would say open-minded people, people who are willing to have, if we're living together, group discussions, group meditations. Absolutely a foundation, again, the practice and the understanding of nonviolent communication. I don't mean in any sort of cultish way, but I mean a group getting together, reading the book Nonviolent Communication together, and understanding how that can help us develop better relationships, so that when conflicts naturally arise, and there's nothing wrong inherently with conflicts, but when they arise, we have the proper skills to handle that and to communicate effectively, and shit doesn't just fall apart. So all that mindfulness involves, like I said, self-awareness, meditation, prayer, or just spirituality, curiousness, even somebody with more of a humanistic approach, and an openness and a willingness to collaborate with other people in a mature, honest, and real way. Over here, Permagora, which is the combination of permaculture, which is a way of growing your food, a way of designing your life, a way of designing systems to organize and to build a better world. I've got plenty of writing in this book about permaculture, as well as interviews with people on this channel about permaculture if you want to learn more about that. But it's just the idea of bringing that together with the Agorist philosophy. And if these terms are all new to you guys, search the channel. I've been talking about this stuff, especially Agorism and counter economics, for almost 7-8 years now, since I discovered it and realized it was the key, or that I believe one of the keys. I've also written plenty of essays, including in this book, that you can find out more about it. But sovereignty of the individual, self-ownership, non-aggression principle, mindfulness, and all that entails, permaculture, working in a truly sustainable way, not some Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, state-driven, government-driven environmentalism, faux environmentalism, all that together with the idea of counter-economics and agorism, of opting out of systems that we don't align with. So if we don't want to submit to vaccinations, mandatory vaccinations. It's a community where people respect that and understand that and come together, and we create value. We grow food, we educate each other, we use the space as a space to organize, to teach people how to take care of themselves, to learn, as a place that can be a school in some ways, and maybe to host farmers markets and music festivals. Of course, this is all assuming that we can get to that point. But with everything we're dealing with today, the reality of in March 2020, we're dealing with a mass quarantine around the world and calls for potential martial law and lockdown. This community has become more important than ever. And so, as I said, I will not be building this in the United States. If you choose to build in the United States, that's fine. Like I said, I have a vision of a network of interlocking communities that can come together and collaborate and work together. And so you might stay in the United States while I go elsewhere, and others will be elsewhere. And that's what the Freedom Cells website is for, so we can find each other and network together. So if you read any part of my book, I recommend at least these 3 chapters, or actually this whole section, I would say. Sovereignty of the individual explains that part of the pyramid. Permagora explains that part of the pyramid. Strong Hearts and Revolutionary Minds is about the mindfulness aspect of it. Mobility versus homesteading talks about the idea of being mobile, having a bus or a van or something like that, as opposed to having land, and maybe some combination of the two. And then finally, this one outlays the plan that me and John put together in 2017 of how we can get off the control grid and defend the Agora and create a better world. That's what I'm after, guys. And as I said, I've been talking about this since 2016, continuing to talk about it in 2018, wrote a book about it in 2017, knew that I was going to do this in 2020. If you search through the book, if you just search 2020, you'll see it pop up a couple of times. The actual formation of such a community is slated to begin in 2020. Right here, the intentional community that will begin in 2020 has only 2 other stipulations for potential community members, both of which make up the remaining corners of the triangle. And the chapters are all about that. So, for those who want to work with me or collaborate in some way, let's figure it out. Doesn't mean we're necessarily going to live on the same piece of land. Maybe we live near each other. Maybe we collaborate in some other way. But this is what I'm focused on more than ever. And I was already planning to do this prior to any COVID-19, Corona, whatever. This is just the vision I want. I want to grow my own food. I want to take care of myself. I want to reduce my need for an income and live close to the earth and thrive and not be just having to fight for freedom forever. But at the same time, if and when the shit hits the fan, like now, I want to have a safe space to be and to help others. And this is also a part of what I call the, this community would be a part of what I've called the modern underground railroad, or the counter-economic underground railroad, which is what I discussed in my new book, How to Opt Out of the Technocratic State, which you can download or purchase here as well. All the books can be found on the books tab here, but if you haven't, download the book for free and check out the chapter right here that talks about the counter-economic underground railroad, and that'll give you all the details on what I'm working on currently, and you can find out more there. If you want to get in touch in any way, you want to communicate about this, guys, find me at intothelight@protonmail.com or Derrick@theconsciousresistance.com. Use the freedomcells.org website. I know we're having email signups right now. Just hit the reset password button, hit the contact us. We'll get it set up, guys. We're going to make it through this, but we got to come together if we're going to be able to thrive and survive in what we're dealing with. And if we want to build a network of free communities that can help the coming generations, because what we do today, it's not just about taking action so our lives can be better, so that we can survive and make it to the next moment. But it's all about those who are already children right now, who are too young to understand what's going on, and those who haven't even been born yet, who will be born during this chaotic time, and those who are already passing away, our ancestors, and those who will come after us. It's about all of them. And what we do today, the choices we make now, will decide what kind of world they live in and what kind of legacy we leave behind. So you make your choice. What do you want to do? What legacy do you want to leave behind? How do you want to help the future generations? I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm dedicated to, and it's happening now. This is the go phase. This is the initiation. It's time to do it. Time to build. I hope you will join me. Till next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.